This is School Talks on WJR with Dr. Robert Livernoy, sponsored by Wakely Associates, Plant Moran Real Point, Collins and Blaha, O'Reilly Rancilio PC Attorneys at Law, Clark Construction, and by Must Construction Careers. Once again at the head of the class, Dr. Livernoy.
Joining us now on the program is Dr. Paul Salah, Superintendent of Huron Valley Schools. Welcome to the program, Paul.
Thank you for having me.
So over the summer here, I'm taking some time to highlight some of the construction work that's going on in school districts as a connection to some of our core sponsors like Clark Construction and Wakely Associates and others. And with Clark in your district, I wanted to give you an opportunity, if you could, to share with us what are some of the big projects or primary goals outlined in your bond proposal, which passed last November.
Yeah, so Huron Valley Schools is very fortunate. We actually spent quite a few years going without any infrastructure dollars to help us maintain our facilities. Last time we passed a major bond proposal was in the late 90s, and we had a couple of failed ones, 14, 15. So I became superintendent in Huron Valley Schools in December of 2018, and one of the very first things on my docket was to really help educate the community regarding the importance of a ballot proposal. So we were successful in 2019 in passing a $180 million ballot proposal. We started implementation of that ballot proposal, and then we were fortunate/unfortunate to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic, which caused some pretty drastic increases in prices. You can imagine inflation during that time period. I know our community felt that. I know the citizens feel that. So shortly after passing that bond proposal and starting to do some work, we launched a strategic plan. And the bond proposal you're referencing, where we partner with Clark and TMP Architecture, was in 2024, based upon our strategic plan goals. There are 5 of them, specifically around innovative programming, resources and infrastructure, school safety and security, marketing communications, and then social emotional learning. So our focus with the bond proposal, this last one in 24, was a $363 million bond proposal to really help us take care of everything that remained that we couldn't complete with that 2019.
So the strategic plan really became the process through which you identified what work would be done. Is that a fair?
Absolutely.
And what,
it was paramount.
And what kinds of people were on those, I guess you'd call them, subcommittees of the strategic plan?
Yeah, so one of the things we pride ourselves in as a school district and a school community is we involve multiple stakeholders in the process. Sometimes that's somewhat painful because it takes a lot of time. When you involve that many stakeholders, and it requires a lot of meetings and a lot of conversations. But I can't emphasize enough the importance of collaboration with multiple stakeholders from throughout the community. We had township supervisors on that committee. We had parents from the elementary, middle, and high school in that committee. We had teachers. We had administrators. We had senior citizens. We had a police chief. We had a number of stakeholders that were involved in what we call the strategic plan work, as well as what we call the strategic plan 2.0 work. And the 2.0 work is really just digging deeper on the resources and the infrastructure side of things.
So we're currently with Dr. Paul Salah, Superintendent of Huron Valley Schools. Paul, I'd like to follow up. If you had to point to one or two of the most urgent things solved with this latest bond, what would they be? What were the big ticket items that needed to be addressed right away?
So that's a great question. Everything points back to improving instructional programs. So I think that has to be said out of the outset. you can have exemplary instructional programs, but they will lack if you're struggling with infrastructure, if you're not heating and cooling your buildings properly, if your parking lots are falling apart, if your ventilation units are leaking and problematic. That creates a litany of problems from an instructional perspective. And then children struggle with learning if they feel unsafe. And the community struggles sending their children to school if they feel that their children are unsafe. So ensuring that we can implement the latest best practices from a safety perspective are critical. So safe and secure vestibules. When a community member or a visitor comes to our buildings, they cannot simply gain access to our buildings. They have to go through a vestibule, and then they are allowed into the building once they show their identification if they have an appointment. The bond proposal allowed us to do those things. And then, of course, enhancing our robotics programs, our Center for Performing Arts, our arts programming, our athletic fields to be competitive, in Southeast Michigan and offer facilities that our students deserve. So all around the board, we call ourselves a AAA school district. Athletics, arts, and academics is our focus, and these bond proposals focus on those efforts.
The way you just characterized all of the different players and projects and issues that came into the strategic plan to make decisions reminds me, I was in school at Wayne State Education School, maybe 40 years ago. And I remember the professor, a sociology professor, introducing me to the concept of symbiosis. And it was basically, as you just described, all the different forces that come into play when you're trying to carry out a mission. And I remember naively sitting there saying, well, how does this matter? And then you live it like you are, and as I did for many years, it really speaks volumes to how important it is to engage everyone, because that one group you leave out becomes left out and often noisy in the process. So as we sit this summer, Paul, what are some big projects going on in Huron Valley?
So I mentioned the importance of that strategic plan and really doing that long-range visioning. As an outcome of that work, we also made a very difficult decision to close schools, and you know how challenging that can be. The stakeholders that were involved were critical to those conversations. So as an outgrowth of that, we are closing a middle school and combining into 2 middle schools. We currently have 3. We're moving to 2.
I'd like to continue our conversation, but we need to take a short break to hear from our sponsors. This is School Talks on 760 WJR.
School Talks on WJR with Dr. Robert Livernoy.
Welcome back to School Talks. We're currently chatting with Dr. Paul Salah, Superintendent of Huron Valley Schools. And Dr. Salah, before the break, we were talking about all the great work happening in the district. And I had an opportunity to go out in the field at your district and talk with Vice President Becky Timberlake from Clark Construction, one of School Talks' primary sponsors. And here's what she had to say about the work going on in the district.
So out here today, you'll see at Huron Valley, we're at the middle schools where we're really finishing the work of the 2019 bond, which is setting the roadmap for the new 2025 bond that is starting the strategic plan for Huron Valley schools. Here at White Lake Middle School, we are renovating existing spaces to create new classrooms so that there's enough capacity in this building to take on the new students that are coming from Oak Valley, which is the school that will no longer be a middle school. We are busy working on the design of the new middle school that Dr. Salah mentioned that will be at the Milford High School campus, and also the complete renovation so that it will be a new middle school as well here at White Lake Middle School on the Lakeland and Lakewood campus. The idea is that they will have 2 new state-of-the-art middle schools at the end of this 2028-2029 school year, and 2 campuses that will both serve east and west of the campus of the district and have a high school, a middle school, and an elementary school, which will allow for more programming for students. We also are starting to do the renovation at Milford High School here for the administration move. So the administration team will move into the new space at Milford High School in the spring, and that existing administration building, which is outdated and seen its useful life, will come down and come offline.
I also had the opportunity to ask Vice President Timberlake about any other projects currently underway in the district.
We are working on a few other miscellaneous projects. We're renovating the old recreation pools at Lakeland High School here on this campus and at Milford High School so that they are new state-of-the-art collaborative spaces and STEM and STEAM spaces.
So, Paul, while out on site at your district, I had a question as to how big of a district is Huron Valley from a distance perspective?
Huron Valley Schools is 100 square miles. It's massive. Yeah, you wouldn't think of that in southeast Michigan. In this way, by having a middle school, high school, and an elementary on one campus on the east side and then the same on the west side of the district, it really will allow for some pretty significant infrastructure savings, especially in transportation, and will also allow us to offer some pretty valuable instructional programs for our students because of the shared campus model. We can share staff, we can share facilities. It's really pretty exciting what we're going to be able to do, and the committee that came together was really thoughtful and excited about the vision moving forward. So I would say heavy focus for us is the middle schools over the course of the summer.
Your description of the process to close a school gives me an opportunity to share with our School Talks listeners something that's often not understood correctly or often overlooked, and that is when you go for a bond in a community, it's often the underwriter is often the state of Michigan. You apply for the support from the Department of Treasury, and they have very specific guidelines as to how much you're trying to renovate based on your student population. And they literally count up the number of teaching stations and parking spaces and so on. And that process will not let you renovate space that you do not need. And it's painful, as you know, but it's such a critical thing for people to understand that in order to get the support from the state and the good bond rating, you have to demonstrate efficiency. And I can remember over the years debating whether is this a closet or a teaching station, but they really do, from an accountability perspective, hold districts accountable to be efficient and good stewards with the taxpayers' money. So with that, Dr. Paul Salah, Superintendent of Huron Valley Schools, keep up the great work with Clark Construction and the team out there, and I'll look forward to chatting with you in the future.
Thank you. Appreciate it.